Welcome to the National Geographic Explorer on our expedition to Antarctica. For the next 10 days, we'll be exploring one of the most incredible and remote locations in the planet. We'll be exploring Antarctica in various forms: hiking, zodiac cruising, kayaking. We'll try to see it all. Wildlife, landscape, this place has everything. Antarctica is very remote. Only a handful of people is lucky enough to visit a place like this. When you're here, it's like a different world. It's beyond anything that you have ever seen before.
These are the rarest killer whales on the planet. We've left Ushuaia, heading out through the Beagle Channel. From the Beagle Channel, we are heading out into the Drake Passage towards Elephant Island. So it was a beautiful morning. We were just getting across the Drake Passage. The sun was gleaming on the horizon and you could see the white snow of Elephant Island. You could see blows from whales in the distance, and it was finally, we were making it to Antarctica. And then all of a sudden, one of the naturalists yelled out, "Killer whales!" As we got close, we recognized they were black and white. Out of the 5 ecotypes of killer whale that are found in the southern hemisphere, it was either going to be type A or it was going to be type D. The type A's are the most likely, and type D's are very rare. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Need to get a little closer into the side. Oh, D's! They're D's! Type D, Delta.
Well, we've been cruising around to Elephant Island and we discovered some killer whales, type D killer whales, which I understand are the second most rare killer whale species. And it was absolutely fantastic to see everybody come up to the bow. What an experience, just absolutely fantastic.
These orcas are unlike any other killer whale morphology-wise. They look completely different. They have little tiny eye patches, they're smaller in size, and we just don't know anything about them. And that's pretty amazing for something that large of an animal to have a new discovery in the last 20 years of a new species. You just don't hear of that. There's only been a handful, up to about probably 15 to 17 different sightings of type D, and we saw them.
Today, our expedition has made our first landfall on a place called Devil Island. I often tell people coming to Antarctica is like going to another planet, and words rarely do any justice to it. Photographs hardly can capture it, but when you get a chance to get a perspective from up on high, that does provide a little deeper experience, I think, for people that are willing to take the effort.
We're on Devil Island. We're at the top right now. You get a full panoramic view of everywhere around us, complete 360. It's pretty unreal. The hike was a little strenuous, but it's been worth it for sure. The landscape is just incredible. I'm sure that'll continue to just stun and awe us.
We're in the Weddell Sea today, surrounded by nesting Adelie penguins, one of the true Antarctic penguins. We couldn't be here at a better time of the year. We have several birds that are still tending their eggs. They each lay 2 eggs. Those eggs are the most precious commodity in these penguins' lives. And then they hatch, and we're right at the phase when the chicks are starting to emerge from their shells, and they're getting their first meals of partially digested krill. The recently hatched chicks are just these very fragile, sensitive little fuzzballs. Their eyes are just starting to open, and they're hungry all the time. And so the chick will peck at the adult's bill. The adult will open up its bill. The chick sticks its head up there, and out comes a little packet of food. We often think of penguins as cute little wobbly things that walk around on land and look somewhat awkward and, if not, a little clumsy. But the reality is these birds are about as tough as you can get in the bird world. Really, they're remarkable creatures. Every facet of their life history is a major, major challenge for them, and they seem to do it with style and with ease and grace.
As we approached, I realized that the whole terrain was filled with nesting penguins. It's fascinating. Probably one of the most amazing things I've ever done. For me, it's been simply out of this world.
It's completely unique. It's like being a kid, and the world's brand new, and it just makes you really feel pretty small.
It's a remarkable and I think a powerful experience to not only be in such a far remote place, but for people to get up close and personal with the iconic animals of the Antarctic, the Adelie penguins.
We are here in the Weddell Sea walking on water. We are on fast ice, so this is a fabulous time. We've seen Adelie penguins. We had an emperor penguin spotting from the bridge right before we came on, so we are truly sharing this landscape with the most iconic of the penguin species of Antarctica. crab-eater seals, beautiful waves and water, and the snow swirling. It's just a spectacular afternoon here off of Coburn Island.
We're in the Weddell Sea, and we're in a place that is known and renowned for massive, massive icebergs. It's renowned in particular for tabular icebergs, which are pieces of glacial ice that started on land and have flowed down to the ocean and extended out into the sea so far that they're floating in deep water. Every once in a while a fracture forms and one of those pieces will break off. This morning we were lucky enough to cruise past one of those that's big enough to have a name. It's called A68A, and it is an 87 by 25 mile wide piece of ice. So it's one of the biggest pieces of ice floating around Antarctica at the moment, and we've spent the morning cruising along its edge. Many, many pieces this size, smaller and larger, have been breaking off around Antarctic ice shelves for millennia. You see all those layers up there. So these are summer, winter layers. So in wintertime you have snow falling, and snow takes a lot more effort to compress all the air out of snow than it does liquid water. So in the summer months you have pools forming on the surfaces of these tabular icebergs because it's warm enough. And so the blue layers are where you've had lakes, and then snow falls the next winter, it starts to compress, and then the next summer comes along, another lake. So the blue stuff is actually the summer months.
This here is believed to be probably what is a Norwegian whaling site, probably dating back to the early 1900s. What they would have done is this would have been a scout boat similar to like a Zodiac on a ship that would have came out, they would have killed a whale, pull it up onto the beach, they'd flinch the blubber down, and then they send that blubber off to a place like Whalers Bay or South Georgia or somewhere where these big barrels will boil down the blubber, and then they put it into barrels where they'd be shipped to Europe, basically where it would light the world. Underneath this beach all along here are whale bones, probably from a number of species. So the species of whale you see here is either a fin whale or a blue whale, from what I can see just based on the size of the skull. And the brain would be sitting right in this location here. Inside the brain case here, this is where the brain would sit. And then you have the big jaw right here where baleen, which is that stringy stuff like your hair that they use to sift out krill and small fish like anchovy, would extend from the lower jaw. Back over here is the pectoral fin. So this is what the hand would look like on a whale. Here you can see, yeah, they decimated the populations already. The big, large species like the blue whale, they went past their carrying capacity. They're not even bouncing back. The humpbacks bounced back. They did really well.
Hi, welcome. My name's Lucy. I'm the base leader at Port Lockroy this season. This is Historic Site and Monument number 61 of the Antarctic Treaty. So we're currently 6 on base. We all work for the UK Antarctic Heritage Trust, which is a British not-for-profit charity based in Cambridge in the UK. And their main aims are the promotion and preservation of Antarctic heritage. So this was the very first British permanent settlement established in 1944 during an expedition called Operation Tabarin. They were here from 1944 and there was a presence here until 1962. They did some of the very early science on the peninsula. They built the hut and it sort of evolved over the years, but you can imagine it was a lot more basic than we currently have. Coal-fired heaters and an oven, and they developed it over the years, so they were here through summer and winter, so you can imagine it's probably quite chilly in the winter, but there was a great sense of camaraderie and it was really quite a cosy place for the men. The lounge was a focus for their daily life. That was where they would sit and eat together, and there's a well-stocked library and a gramophone where they would sit and listen to music in the evenings. So I imagine it was quite a comfortable home away from home, to be honest. We live amongst a colony of Gen 2 penguins. They're entertaining neighbours. Life slows down on the island because of the penguins. We always give them right of way, and we've learnt in the morning to allow a little extra time for our commute in case you find one on a penguin highway. Many of them are incubating eggs now, expecting chicks maybe in the next week or so, and then obviously the population of the island will increase again. You know, I think the first time you think you know what you're coming to, but it's really hard to explain. You know, the scale of the scenery around you, I think, is always impressive to people. Just, as I say, being amongst the penguins is just such a privilege. I think you feel like you're part of a National Geographic documentary, to be honest.
Got here and we went all the way to the top. We got a stunning view of this place. It's just magical, really.
I think one of the things about Antarctica that really shifts your perspective is the sense of scale. And so when you look at these mountains and when you see the icebergs that are larger than the ship we're sailing on, it just really gives you a perspective on what has been happening for the last 10,000 years of human history. Where are we now, and how does our choices that we make every day in our lives tie into this beautiful place? These places that not everybody gets to go are still really important and worth preserving. Whether there are people watching or not, Antarctica is valuable in itself.
Probably one of the features that makes Antarctica such a special place to visit and really unique the world over is there's little or no sign of human activity or occupation here. And what there often is very transient, like our presence here. We come and we go, and then the place is left just as it is.
So we're coming to the end of our time in Antarctica, and it has been a spectacular trip. We've had 3 different killer whale sightings. We've had gorgeous weather. We got to do kayaking twice, and it has just been a spectacular group of people to share this adventure with, and we're so grateful that you came with Lindblad National Geographic to Antarctica.
Antarctica is a remote destination, probably the farthest that a person that lives in the equator could think about. And you coming here hearing everything about the animals, and then you fall in love with the ice, with the landscape, with the mountains, with the ever-changing weather. We have had 10 days here in Antarctica. It has been fantastic all along. Thank you for traveling with us. We're looking forward to see you in a future expedition out there in the world.
Here we are in Antarctica. We've got Gentoo penguins, we've got glaciers, we've got clouds, and the penguin highways are spectacular today. You wouldn't even believe the amount of beautiful sun we've seen, and there are even guests making their own toboggan lanes down the hill as we speak.
We're here, Devil Island, in the middle of the Antarctic Peninsula. We have an Adelie penguin here. He's looking for a mate. Looks quite lonely. She might have been taken by a leopard seal. Most of the animals here are here due to the phytoplankton, the plant-like organisms at the basis of all food webs. I am David Attenborough, and this is National Geographic.